Tonight, a mixed reaction to what the 2018 state budget means for the Spencer Gulf. And grain growers in the mid-north send a record amount of wheat to drought-stricken farmers.
This is Southern Cross News with Abby Donaldson.
Good evening. There's been a mixed reaction to what the 2018 state budget means for the Spencer Gulf. Some have welcomed the investment in infrastructure, while others are concerned about the impact of certain cuts.
Described as the business suit budget, the new Liberal government has outlined its direction. Investments in infrastructure are offset by spending and job cuts. For our region, Liberal MP Peter Treloar says it's a good news budget.
There's been a lot of money going to country South Australia. It's had to have been spread around, but I'm really pleased.
Mr Treloar has welcomed money to attract health professionals to struggling communities. He's also pleased funding has been secured for the upgrade of Port Lincoln's wastewater treatment plant. $20 million will go towards improving the quality of the water.
Get it to a point where it's of a quality that's suitable for reuse across the various parks and gardens in Port Lincoln.
The RAA is also pleased with funding for road widening projects. Over $5 million will be spent on shoulder widening on the Lincoln and Birdseye highways.
Sealed shoulders, from our perspective, is probably one of the most effective things that can be done on the regional road network to improve the level of safety for all road users.
The opposition, however, are a little more lukewarm. Eddie Hughes says the new government is taking credit for regional projects they didn't start.
Quite a few of the announcements were announcements that Labor had already committed to in its last half year.
He's also criticised cuts to primary industry in Sadi and expressed concern $26 million has been cut from regional road funding. And he slammed plans to close TAFE in Roxby Downs.
Worked in closely with the school at Roxby Downs and provided vocational education and training. So that's a real loss.
And the mining industry is concerned. The axing of PACE grants and royalty concessions for new mines will impact the region.
If that concession wasn't in place, it would have prevented some mines from actually starting up.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
A pensioner from Port Pirie West has had a verbal sparring match with the State Treasurer over housing rent hikes. It's after the state government announced a $10 a week increase to housing trust renters.
A Port Pirie pensioner has found herself in a heated discussion with the State Treasurer Rob Lucas. Trish Moraholtz was shocked to find out that her rent had increased by $10 a week, which is almost half of her shopping bill.
$20 a fortnight extra on housing trust flats, one-bedroom flats. That's a third of my groceries.
She is now concerned she will be unable to keep up with her other bills, and she's been struggling with the inflated cost of living for quite some time.
$20 that I haven't got to spend on other things. I try to put money aside for electricity, telephone, water, and of course the rent.
When confronting the Treasurer, Trish was not expecting the reply she received.
He was asked whether he had to have ice in his veins. And he said, yes, I suppose so.
The rent hike is another nail in the coffin for New Start and pensioner reciprocants trying to stay afloat. Dominic Beaton, Southern Cross News.
The duplication of Port Augusta's Joy Baluke Bridge could come much sooner than expected, with the federal government fast-tracking funding for the anticipated project.
The much-anticipated project to improve Port Augusta's east-to-west traffic, now much closer to completion. The federal government agreeing to accelerate funding for the duplication after the new state government proved to them that they could run the project faster.
They've got the numbers, we're going to speed it up, and now we expect the bridge to be completed around about the end of 2021.
The 20% of state funding for the bridge upgrade was confirmed in the state budget, but it's the fast tracking of the federal government's 80% commitment, which means the new and improved bridge is expected to be up and running in 4 years' time.
So that's a better time frame than we initially thought, and I'm very pleased about that.
Industry leaders say it's great to see all forms of government working together to deliver for the region.
It's a great announcement for both the community and industry, particularly with it happening a bit quicker than what we first anticipated.
Now that a deadline has been given for the completion of the bridge duplication, the pressure is on to get things underway as soon as possible. and the federal government expects surveyors and engineers to conduct reports on the site very soon.
Things have to get moving, so I'm just expecting that to happen over the next few months.
And since the closure of the Great Western Bridge, the $200 million project can't come sooner for pedestrians.
But in particular, get those pedestrians onto something safer.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Grain growers in the mid-north have been doing their best to help out drought-stricken farmers in the eastern states. A massive train filled with a record amount of wheat will leave Crystal Brook on its way to New South Wales.
Leaving Crystal Brook on a one-way ticket to the history books.
This is 102 wagons. Our biggest previous train was 101, so we've beaten that by one wagon.
The massive train is on its way to feed hungry livestock in the largest drought-affected areas of Queensland and New South Wales.
Today we're loading grain here to head off over to port towards Parkes and Sydney.
We go to feedlots and the mills up there, so in some way, and that's all come from our local growers.
Cargill grain flow site staff have been working tirelessly for hours in order to get the gargantuan grain load delivered on time. Workers have been rushing at a loading rate of 150 tonnes an hour.
Obviously, being a 6,800 train, we have to keep continually filling the silos, so it takes us 2 days to get through the whole 102 wagons.
The train is a whopping 1.8 kilometres in length and is estimated to carry more than 6,000 tonnes of grain. The train is so long that people from as far as Whyalla and even Port Lincoln have made the drive down to see it. Dominic Beaton, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, why Whyalla's Mayor will run for re-election in November, and a special program helping local Aboriginal students explore life after high school. Whyalla's Mayor has confirmed she'll run for re-election in November. Lynn Brewer says the City Council needs strong leadership over the next 4 years as the city undergoes a major transformation.
2 years ago, Lynn Brewer stepped out of retirement to run for Whyalla Mayor. The former State Labor MP was elected at a time when the city was reeling from the collapse of Arium. A year on from its rescue, Mayor Brewer wants to be part of the next stage, confirming she wants to retain the top job.
We need somebody there that can lead the council, and I think with my background and experience that I can offer that to the community again.
Mayor Brewer says she's thought long and hard about re-election. While finishing up was an option, she says she wants to play a role in the revitalisation of Whyalla.
A place where people want to live and stay and not fly in and out. There's lots of work happening with GFG. It's an exciting time for us and I want to be part of that.
Her 2-year term has been busy and controversial. The Steelworks future was finalised and she's been part of the strengthening of Spencer Gulf Cities Group. However, her relationship with parts of council has been frosty, clashing with rival councillors over the past 2 years. Furthermore, she's still the subject of a court case, allegedly assaulting the wife of Tom Antonio, her opponent in 2016 last November.
But you're innocent until proven guilty. That is just something that's there in the background that I have to put up with, but it's not going to consume my life.
The Mayor is the first to publicly announce her intentions, and while names are being floated as potential challengers, she's not buying into speculation.
I have no idea who the competitors will be. All I can ask is that people think really careful about who they vote for.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The Bundalia Forest Community Precinct is set to receive a $110,000 makeover thanks to a state government grant. The funds will ensure that visitors will have access to kitchen and shower amenities, including the much-awaited construction of a disabled toilet. The new infrastructure will be a major drawcard for cyclists and trail users looking for a comfortable camping location in the southern Flinders. It will also open the door for the state's oldest plantation forest to host large nature-based recreation events and overnight school camps. Broken Hill drivers have been told to be mindful of a road closure near the city's CBD. The section of Sulphide Street between Crystal and Argent will be closed off until next week as the setup for the Broken Hill Festival commences. The closed street is the main performance area of the festival, which kicks off on Friday night. Students from across the Spencer Gulf were busy thinking about life after high school today. The Aboriginal Pathways program encourages students to finish their SACE while also exploring the endless career opportunities open to them.
getting young school students ready for life after Year 12.
I'm aiming to go to uni.
Play sport, make music. My dream is to become a paleontologist.
Far North and Spencer Gulf students from Year 8 to Year 12 were all involved in today's conference, which encourages them to complete their SACE.
We really need to start encouraging and inspiring young Aboriginal students and all students at a very young age to start thinking about their future.
The program featured talks from local Aboriginal leaders, hopefully inspiring the next generation. And things are already looking positive. Since a new certificate of education was introduced in 2011, the numbers have dramatically grown.
Over the last 6 years since the introduction of the new SACE, we've had almost doubling our numbers in Aboriginal students.
But they admit there are still a lot of Aboriginal students who haven't completed their SACE.
There's a lot more work to do.
TAFE, full-time employment and university are all options after Year 12. Students today were given the bare bones of what a paleontology lecture could be like for them in just a few years' time.
There's such a gap between your high school experience and when you go to university, and the more interaction you have with people that have actually been there, the less scary it sounds.
The day giving the students plenty to think about for their future goals.
It felt good because listening to the stories that they were telling us felt very inspirational.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us. After the break, we'll have the region's fuel prices.
And windy conditions were around some parts today. I'll have all the local weather details soon.
The Broken Hill footy season may have only just ended, but the league's admin team is already looking toward 2019. The league's chairman says there's a lot to take away from the season that was.
With grand finals done and dusted, AFL Broken Hill has already started their metaphorical pre-season for 2019.
We believe we've had a pretty good season in Broken Hill.
Mr Schmidt says there is a lot to take out of the 2018 season.
Since we started the Auskick program in Broken Hill, we had 319 registered players this year, which is the most ever in the history of that program. Also this year we introduced a youth girls competition. Our women's competition went from strength to strength. We had 19 of our girls represent the Northern Zone in the country championships in the Riverland. 3 of those were selected in the carnival team.
But there's always things to work on as well.
We really have to focus on 2 things. One we've already done, and that is to upgrade our major facility, Jubilee Oval. We have facilities that were built in 1931. So we've gone off to the New South Wales government, spent 12 months putting a submission together. We're looking for a $2.7 million grant. Also, what we're very, very, very bullish about is we need to get a junior coordinator back into Broken Hill and drive post-Auskick, so we're talking 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, to get those kids either back playing footy or to continue playing footy.
Reducing the number of regular season games from 18 to 15 was a major change for the league. Holding the local grand final on the AFL bye week continued to be a positive.
All of our grand finals on one day. The women's grand final is a highlight as part of our grand final program. Will we stick with 15 rounds? We'll look at that, as I said, at the end of the year. And playing our grand final on that first Saturday in September, you're not competing with any AFL whatsoever, which has obviously helped our crowds.
AFL Broken Hill will be in touch with the local clubs for their feedback soon. Patrick Ryanke, Southern Cross News.
Coffin Bay has felt the need for speed, hosting a billy cart derby in the town. The event saw competitors race down Morgan Road in a variety of homemade designs. Competitors aged between 7 and 80 took part in the race day. While some got through the race without a hitch, others managed to find trouble along the course. Lucky enough though, the only injuries reported were bruised egos.
Excellent. No, I've had a good day, and it's a good thing. It's a credit to the people that put this on, and it's a good effort.
6-year-old Vince Dimmitt showed age was no barrier to victory. He took out first place in the fathers and grandfathers race. Good on you, Vince. And time now to check out the region's prices at the Bowser. Here's Pat.
It's been a terrible start to September at the Bowser. Prices are going up everywhere you look. Starting with unleaded, and Whyalla is the only one to break even this week. The Steel City continues to hover on $1.47. Both Port Lincoln and Port Pirie join Whyalla on that average after both towns saw a 2-cent spike. Port Augusta has climbed by almost 3 cents to sit at $1.46. Kadina has also seen a bit of upward movement, but is still averaging a cheapish 1.41. Here in Broken Hill, we're paying in the mid-150s to fill up, and it's the same story in Adelaide. The Big Smoke has started its cycle once again, jumping by 21 cents to hit 1.54 a litre. To diesel now, and Port Lincoln has enjoyed a week of green, and so has Port Augusta. Both townships have seen a drop of about a cent. Whyalla is up to 1.55, Port Pirie is 4 cents cheaper at 1.51. Kadina has gone up by 2 cents but still holds on a savvy $1.47. Here in the Silver City, we're getting dangerously close to hitting 1.60 a litre, and down in Adelaide the price is up by about 4 cents to average 1.45. Now remember, these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you happen to find a spot that does sell unleaded or diesel for cheaper, let us know on our Facebook page.
Thanks, Pat, and time now for the weather with Amy.
Thanks for that, Abby. A bit of a change around most districts today. A windy day in Port Augusta with a top of 24. Whyalla and Port Pirie sat at 22 degrees. Meanwhile, Port Lincoln hit a top of just 18. Checking the satellite, and skies are generally clear due to dry northerly winds. There is some patchy cloud in the southeast and far west of the state in weak troughs. However, it's not causing any rain. If you're out on the waters tomorrow, westerly winds will pick up to 20 knots with seas reaching 2 metres. Early birds can catch the sunrise at 6:33 while it's setting at 6:03. A fine day expected for Port Augusta tomorrow, reaching 20 degrees. Whyalla and Port Pirie can expect a top of 19. The chance of a shower for Port Lincoln, Kadina and Coffin Bay. Possible showers around Port Lincoln later this week, but they will clear, leading to a mostly sunny weekend. Sunday, a top of 21. Skies will also fine up around Cleve with tops of 22 expected, and there will be nothing but sunshine coming up in Woodner, a sunny 24 predicted for Sunday. Spring has well and truly sprung in Whyalla, with maximums reaching into the low to mid-20s over the coming days. Port Augusta will see a high of 26 late into the weekend, while temperatures in Kadina will sit at 19 over the coming days. A run of beautiful spring days coming up around Port Pirie leading into the weekend, temperatures sitting in the low to mid-20s also. Clare is also in for a mostly sunny weekend, Sunday sitting at 18 degrees. Meanwhile, Broken Hill will also be seeing the sun and tops well into the 20s also. So Abby, despite the chance of a few showers, it's looking like a great weekend ahead.
And that's the local news this Wednesday. Thanks for your company. I'm Abby Donaldson from the team. Good night.